Hey everybody, happy Easter 2019. The other day I was going through some old footage during the build of the van, and I came across a really interesting clip of the van being nearly completely empty. We had just finished the floor, and we began taping things out to start to kind of get creative and think of what does the layout of this van need to look like. And it brought I had a thought of doing, a video theme on that, because that was actually a really important part of the build of the van, was getting creative and just, putting tape out, putting mock things out to go, what is this van even going to look like? Because you have this space and there's so many different ways you can do it. And what is the way that A, fits your eye, and B, fits your lifestyle, and C, fits perhaps your skill set, and probably most important of all is, what is the style, what is the plan, what is the layout that's going to make this completely worth it, that you did all of this and made this commitment to this project, and that you were just going to be happy with the outcome. And you were going to leave yourself perhaps options to change things, but it was just going to fit you. You weren't going to care about what anybody else said. You weren't going to care about going to RV shows and seeing these other layouts of vans that are twice the expense. But it's just going to be this little, perhaps eclectic little outfitted van that fits you, your partner, your lifestyle, and your adventure dreams and what you want to do. So here's some before footage of just a walkthrough of what this van looked like, and just some comparisons of what we saw early on, that what was going to be, and what we ended up with. Because one of the things, we originally were not going to have two levels in the back with the sleepy area. It was going to be, the center of the van was going to be down to the floor. And one of the changes we made were we lifted the whole sleeping area up, made a basement under there, not necessarily big enough for bikes, but we weren't planning on putting bikes inside. We were looking at a trailer for bikes and kayaks. Also, we switched the sink, the galley, and the toilet area on the driver's side of the van. So just some different things we made changes to, but basically the overall layout of the van, we saw it early on and we kind of went for it. And so here's some of that footage and what that looks like. So basically on either side here we'll have a bench, if you will, that will be as high as that stool, so that's 24 inches high. It comes out 24 inches, so that will be seating on either side. We'll have a pedestal table in the middle that will lower down and make a bed. The rear part there, back, like from here back, will be a bench, like a little square bench, and the table then will sit in just this area. So it'll be kind of a U seating. A U-shaped seating with a pedestal table that lowers down and makes this all a bed that will sleep widthwise. From the rear view, you can see, down these two lines here, those were the tape that were going forward. You'll notice we did, and I've showed this before, but we did stick the Goal Zero battery and all the electrical system back here as we originally planned. The one thing I do want to do though is we are going to put a drawer in here to be able to slide the battery in and out. And we may put a drawer in one of the other two chutes. We'll see. That's kind of the beauty of this, building one of these, is you can just figure it out as you go. I've taken a little bit of heat because not all of the van is quote unquote complete yet, but honestly for us so far it kind of is. We use it, we love it, we've had some great adventures in it so far, and next week going to be going on another one, fly fishing. So in our head, yeah, it's perfect. We just need to add on those little things that we find yet that we need to support our lifestyle and our adventures. So from going from dual lines of tape down the floor to now everything installed, and you have a fully working, functioning camper van. It's just really satisfying to see everything just come to fruition and just start to fall into place. This will be storage. This is the fridge that is on a drawer release. So the release will be, this will be the outside of the cabinet. So I got, you know, back far enough, lift that out. Your refrigerator comes forward. I won't slide it all the way out because it's not bolted down yet, but you'll roll this out to here, access your fridge, load it up, do your thing, close your fridge back up, slide your drawer back, latch into place. We'll cut this off so nobody kills themselves on this, which will probably be me, on this corner. This is enough that I'll have a 15 or 16 inch table that will go on the back of this counter, the counter will be 36 inches high, but I'll have a table that folds down. It's really satisfying looking back on that video and seeing, you know, nothing but bare floors and tape and ideas, but just kind of seeing what all those dreams were and plans, and now just seeing them all really come to life. And some of them were a little altered, but for the most part, everything just kind of lined up really nice. And I'm going 15-16 inches this way because a Coleman stove is that far deep and it's about 27 long. So I want this to drop out about 30 inches so you could cook out here if you so choose. So I've had some people that have asked me, what is the size of your counters? What is your meal prep area? And this counter here is 25 inches deep by 42 inches long. So when you're talking about a propane grill, a Coleman grill, you know, that grill is roughly 15 inches wide. You know, so your grill basically lays here. Actually, let me get mine. So your grill lays here. Now your propane bottle can be here, and a lot of times we'll push the propane bottle back here, and you know, so it gives us an area for cooking here. We can put plates. I'll just use this pot for a sizer. We can put plates out here, or in the morning when we're making coffee. You know, so when we're making coffee, boiling water in this, we have our coffee press there, and our coffee cups ready to go here, and it really works out great. You know, if we're cooking dinner and we need to prep some vegetables, a lot of times what we'll do is, you know, actually I'll move the grill to this area, to this side, tuck the canister back in here, and we'll just sit out here and do all of our veggie prep and so forth, and anything we need in addition, we'll use this side. You know, we use the galley side, and the galley side counter, you know, beyond the sink, 24 inches by 18 inches out here. So, you know, that's a great place too. We just simply, you know, move this guy over, and I have another counter over here for chopping vegetables, doing whatever. And if that's still not enough area, we simply move it over to the table. Up here, you can lower the table, and we do our vegetable chopping there. So food prep is perfect. But the reality is this. Often when we're camping and we have decent weather, I'm going to be out here cooking on this. Remember the bar we made right here that folds out? So I'm either cooking on this, or I'm in a campground or picture something where I have a picnic table over here and I'm taking the stove and I'm putting it out there. So everything we're preparing inside as far as chopping vegetables, opening up cans, etc., etc. But then we're coming out here and we're actually cooking the dinner. And you know, and that's kind of the idea of camping. And so far we've found zero issues with that. But if you walk in, inside we'll have water, a cabinet lifting up about 36 inches there, water supply, gray water and fresh water underneath to your sink. We'll have storage over here, pantry up top for dry goods. I have a cassette toilet here. I need to figure this out because I want to put like a 20 or 30 inch, a 20, maybe a 20 I think is plenty, monitor up there. Just for watching movies or what have you if it's a rainy day. If you're in bed or if you're on this side, and I want the monitor on this side because if you're on this side and you spin that chair around, I want you to be able to see it. Or if you're sitting out there looking in, I want you to be able to see the monitor as well. You'll notice here is the holder that we slip the iPad into. And you know, because basically the only time we're really watching TV is when we're in bed. In the early planning stages, we were going to put the TV or iPad up here. So let me come back outside of the van here. The purpose of putting that TV originally in the plan was to put it on this side so you could sit outside and watch it. But the reality is when we really kind of figured on how we were using the van and the places we were going and the things we were doing, there just really wasn't going to be a time where I'm sitting outside the van watching TV. So in the video, the sink was here and the toilet was over there. But in reality, we switched those two. And if you look at this bench here, the size of this bench, which gives us plenty of storage. You know, we have the toilet in there. I have the jack. In case we ever need to change the spare, I put the jack and so forth in there. Our heater is in there, which won't need that for a few months. But if you look at the size of that bench, it is pretty much exactly the same size as the galley, just shorter. And it was nice to we're really happy we made that switch because honestly, I didn't necessarily want a toilet to be a border between my sleeping area and our living area. So we moved the toilet and that, the whole utility of that out of here. Because the reality is, basically the only time we're ever using that thing is in the middle of the night, so nobody has to run out into the woods or whatever in the middle of the night. But we'll have plenty of storage here. We can almost go to the top here. And here at 36 inches, there'll be enough room above the refrigerator for a drawer and a slot to put the stove in. And then this will be a counter out this far over top of the refrigerator. There's your floor to ceiling storage right there, and that's the pantry. So I'll come over here. Typical pantry items. We have the doors opening up separate directions, and we kind of had to because of the way things were laying out. And so, for example, if this top door opened up towards the seating and table area, well, if you're sitting there, it's kind of blocking your entire view. So we kind of open it up over top of the counter. But the one down below, we have to open up the opposite direction because you're not taking anybody's view away here, but because of this counter right here, you can't really open it this way. So that's kind of what I mean when I say some of this is really about being creative and figuring it out and what fits you, what fits your lifestyle. So as we looked at the flow of everything, we just had to open the cabinet doors different directions. Originally, we were going to put the stove, a shelf right in here. Instead, we opted for a little cabinet. and you know, we just have some trash and so forth in there. Notice drilled some holes in the back of this cabinet. Ultimately what we're going to do is put a full-size propane tank in there and run the hose up to the top here where we have the stove. So that hose can either run to the top of this, or we can run it out the back of here, or over the top, and when we lay the table out to cook outside, we can just have it there. So that the shelf we originally were planning on to put the stove in here, we have this opening here. Now right now we've been using that opening in this shelf for window coverings and so forth, and that's not going to be its permanent use, but honestly it's fulfilling a need right now. And when we put the stove there, the stove just rattled as we drove, so we actually have the stove in a container here, and that container, when we roll it out, it actually acts as a step to get you up to the second floor there. So that actually all worked out pretty well. And the electrical will go back here. Well, so if you figure this bench will be that high, we'll have a lift up there, but I'll have access to it in here. So all the electrical will be in here, with some, maybe a divider and some lift up storage in there for clothes or boots or what have you. We could have this side here lift up, because it'll be the same 24 inches that stool is. So we could have this lift up too, have storage in there. And the whole thing is not going to come any further back than this line, because I'm going to put the original piece back down here. So when you close these doors, let me get this one here. When you close these doors, you're still going to have that gap right there. So if I put some kind of cargo netting across here, or on the doors, you know, for lawn chairs or what have you, you'll have some storage here as well to work with. So let me see, with this door closed, what that looks like. That's not too shabby, you know. It's not too shabby at all. And although these two benches were supposed to originally be on the floor, that's kind of what it looks like now. You know, that we have a second floor with a basement underneath, but it's actually the exact same layout. Each bench has two doors in it. You see the hinges on the back there that we open up. One side we store jackets and so forth. The other side is all the bedding stores in there, and we just pull it out and we're good to go. So we went through a lot of painter's tape when we were planning this van out. It was after we bought the van. It was right about this time last year where we were just taping things down, putting squares on the floor, you know, putting an empty sink in a square, putting a stool in a square, going, oh, well, we want our benches to be 24 inches high. And really just kind of living what that was going to feel like on the road, and almost acting, if you will, as though we were on a camping trip here in the yard, going through the motions, cooking a meal, getting the stove out, figuring out what we were going to do. Is everything going to fit? The refrigerator, is it going to pull out and be too far out into the walking area? Or, you know, one of the things that we learned in that process when we were taping it down, and I pulled the fridge out the first time, I'm like, well, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. If I pull the fridge out, it only goes to here. If I open the lid, the cabinet's going to be in the way. We're never going to be able to open the lid. So we learned some things by doing that. But I think most importantly, what we learned by putting that tape on the ground was what was the layout that was going to fit for us. Now, we might have a different layout someday that, you know, we go, hey, this actually works out a little better. But I think we've invested enough time, and the proof is in how much pleasure we get out of the van while we're on the road, while we're on these adventures and so forth, that so far we have not found a point where we go, damn, I wish we had done this other way because this would have been so much easier. No, it's really working well for us, and we really love it. And for us, this van is perfect. There's some things we need to add yet. There's some things we need to cap off yet. Just some finishing touches, but the reality is they're just not that big a deal to us because the spirit of the van was to get it done, get it to a point where we could be on the road out enjoying adventures, and that's exactly where we are. We just have to be careful we don't leave them unfinished forever, because we do want to finish all the little nooks and crannies, but the reality is we're to a place where we can actually have a blast with this van whenever we want, and that's really cool. We've gotten to a point where I can't go many places with this van where people don't go, why do you drive a van? And then I slide open the side door and they see the inside and they're like, holy crap, and we spend the next 20 minutes to 30 minutes and I'm taking them on a tour through the van. So the point being, when you're planning out your van, don't be nervous about what other people do or you're seeing online. Don't be nervous about what you're seeing at RV shows and so forth. Build the van that fits you. Build the van that you're happy with, because at the end of the day, when you're in a camping spot and the doors are closed, or you're in some remote location, it's just you're the only one it's got to please. You're the only one that has to be happy with it. And if you're happy with it, success. You've achieved your goal. So anyway, that's what I have this week. Happy Easter 2019, everybody. Peace. We'll see you on down the road. Bye-bye now.